Change management, RFIs, and change orders. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about some really neat rules when it comes to change management and the writing of RFIs, and really give you a perspective of what a field engineer should be doing. And this is really great advice. Now, how your company writes the RFI is specific to your company. Personally, I think it should be leaned out, streamlined, with only the needed information, as simple and frictionless as possible. I don't think that more administration means you're doing a better job. Less needed, meaning keep the needed stuff, but less administration means you're doing a better job. As a project engineer, there are going to be times where the owner or an end user requests a change order, or where there might be something missing in the design that requires a change order. And you're going to have to request for information. I actually call it rework for information because we should have as few RFIs as possible. But a request for information to modify the contract documents, because everybody's tied to the contract documents. We do not design through submittal. We do not design just willy-nilly through sketches or word of mouth or emails. If you want something to be changed or provided on the drawings, it needs to be done through an RFI. Unfortunately, the better the designer is, the fewer the RFIs will be needed. Now, one of these days when we have real-time, I'm going to call it blockchain-esque type information, where we can just update the drawings real-time and there's a historical record of that. Maybe one day we get rid of RFIs and the over-processing that comes with it. But for now, you write the RFI. Now, in this RFI, you are going to make sure that you're proposing a solution and you're being very descriptive, and that you're making sure that there's a high likelihood that that RFI gets answered correctly right out of the gate. Now, if there is a time and a cost impact, you need to know that right away. That's how we're going to get into the change portion of this. So if that RFI is going to cost money, and if it is going to cost you time, which will eventually cost you money, the owners and designers need to know about it, and you need to have an approved change order. So here's how this works. Everything that could cost money goes in, and however your project management system works, goes in as a potential change order. That means as soon as you know that this may cost you money, it gets logged right away. That way you never forget it. That way when you're reviewing the financials and your projections and your possible exposure sheet, or your, however you want to call it, I call it exposures, or potential costs, or your potential change orders, you can actually make sure, oh, did that ever become an official change order? Did that ever get approved? But you never want to have it be forgotten. And here's the key. Ryan Young, one of the best PMs that I've ever been around and I worked with on the first project where I was a project superintendent, he would say, as soon as there's a trigger, it becomes a potential change order with an associated number. So that way we never forget. And we don't proceed with work until we have that financial cost approved officially. So let's just look at this. You write the RFI, it goes out, it gets answered, and yes, this is approved by the design team, but it has to be now approved by the owner. So you need confirmation from the owner that yes, that cost, the rough order of magnitude or the rough cost for that change, is going to be approved. So now if it's critical, you will post the bulletin or the RFI to the drawings, and you will release the trade partners to act because you have prior financial approval. And that means that executing that change order and making sure that the trade partners paid for that change order will be fairly seamless if done well. Now you're going to have final pricing, and you're going to have the right documentation, whatever you work out with the owner, meaning sometimes you just have to go right away with the wrong cost. Sometimes you're going to get a full, total lump sum cost, and that's the exact price that the owner is releasing. Depending on the urgency of the item, you're going to go through that normal process. But the key is, don't start with work until you have financial approval, either the tentative or the final. Meaning, because if you start to go do work outside of your contract, you're at risk for that. And it could really cause some really hard conversations in the future and ruin some relationships. Here's what this will do for you if you do it right. First of all, everything that you need to change will be officially changed in the contract documents. Second of all, everything will be tracked as a potential change order. Third of all, you'll never forget a potential cost. Fourth of all, everybody will get paid. Fifth of all, you will make sure that everything is posted properly and that you don't post it unless it's approved, which will keep everything not chaotic in the field, but very seamless. And this will enable you to reconcile change orders, finish work, and get people paid on time, which is absolutely phenomenal. But also be able to respond to the change request from the owner. Now, another thing that it will do is that if this is a possible exposure that comes out of contingency, you're real-time tracking those budgets. Because like, let's say I'm halfway through the project, this is hypothetical. I've seen this with bad tracking systems, but it doesn't happen very often. It's just a hypothetical. Let's say we're halfway through the project and I see we've only spent like a third of contingency, and I'm like, we're good to go. But these potential costs, these risks, these exposures aren't possibly carved out as a potential cost from our contingency buckets. And I don't see that actually we're halfway through the project, but we're actually 75% of the way through our contingency buckets. I don't know that that's a red flag and to take corrective action. We have to have great accounting systems in order for all of this to work. And you have got to make sure that you can pass an audit. If you're working with some owners, they want to see vendor pricing with 3 different vendors. They want to see proper backup, proper documentation. So you have to stay on this. Is a change order a waste? Yes. Do you have to do it? Yes. Is an RFI a waste? Yes. Do you have to do it? Yes. So there is a way to do this with what I would call phase gates, where we don't proceed to the next step unless we have the right approvals. That is crucial. We do not post it to the drawings until we have that approval. And when we do post it, it is clear, update, current, relevant information. So these are some guidelines for change management. Let me also just give you a summary real quick. Number 1, when a change order is triggered, always log it down. Number 2, make sure that the RFI process is done right. Number 3, always make sure pricing, negotiation, and approvals are done before executing. Number 4, make sure you're tracking time and cost impacts. Number 5, document properly to protect the job. Number 6, avoid scope gaps. Number 7, track changes systematically with phase gates. Number 8, prevent change order overload, and I'll leave you with some advice. On every project that I've been on where there's lots of changes and it's getting distracting, I'll say main team, trade partners, focus on contract work. And here is this other project or office engineer that's going to focus on these change orders because we're getting overwhelmed, and we're going to price separate crews. So keep going with contract work and we'll handle this separately. If you mix it all together and get derailed, you won't get your contract work done and you won't get your change order work done. And guess what? You are on the hook for the contract work. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm going to put a blog post for you covering this in the description below. On we go.